Hey everybody, here we are again this week. 1 week wonders Monday night. Rigney and Bob Lung. We're going to talk to 1 week wonders for week 8. And how are the 1 week wonders from week 1 through 7 doing? Not too bad, not too great. We're talking about it next. All right, 1 week wonders coming to you on Monday night. As always, Ron Rigney, Bob Lung here, big guy, fantasy sports. Ron, the 1 week wonders keep rolling. We keep finding names that I've never heard of. You seem to, which good for you. Yeah, we've got some good ones this week that popped up, including what maybe now I guess it's not our first number one. As I say, our first number one or first highest ranked of the week. We did have that with Juwan Johnson week 1, Trey Tucker in week 2, AJ Barner in week 1 or week 5. But we got another one at wide receiver this week in week 8. We'll talk about that coming up. But Ron, how's it going? And who you got at the quarterback position? I know a friend of ours will be very happy that, and maybe be upset that we actually called out this player as a guy that probably isn't starting for most teams. But let's be honest, he probably isn't.
No, he's not. And when you look at this guy's team, that defense has been getting it done. And with D'Amico Ryans at the helm, that's going to be a thing. But we're going to pick on CJ Stroud a little bit, but actually, we're going to pick him on him in a positive way because he ended up getting a clutch game, 318 yards, 2 touchdowns, did throw a pick, but still had one of his highest outputs, actually his highest yardage output of the season in a win against the 49ers too. And again, when you look at that, the way that team is structured, man, some of those offseason moves, especially those offensive line moves, some head scratchers in the offseason. The running game has been, Woody Marks has been a bright spot, but Joe Mixon and Nick Chubb did not work out like they wanted to. They didn't. And even what makes this all the more impressive is didn't have Nico Collins, didn't have a lot of those top targets in the passing game. We were just talking about off air. I plucked Xavier Hutchinson off the street Sunday morning and threw him into my lineup, and that worked out well for me. But it's impressive to see it against that Niners defense. That Niners defense is kind of like that Philly defense this year. Not as scary as we're used to, but all the more impressive. 76.9 completion percentage to guys that he's throwing to that you've never really heard of. So hats off to Colby Conway's boy, CJ Stroud.
Yeah, CJ Stroud, 21.7 points for the week. He was then ranked 10th for this past week. So, again, I think it was, like I said, I was kind of surprised by it. I certainly would, if I even had CJ Stroud, I certainly would have been starting against San Francisco. But hey, here we are, right? It was a weird week of guys against good defenses were doing great, and players against good players against bad defenses were stinking. And we're talking to you, CMC and Bijan Robinson. All right, let's move on to. Oh, I forgot to talk about weeks 1 through 7. So we're tracking this every week. So since week 1, every week we pick one at each position, and then we've been tracking them for the year. Actually had an uptick this week. We're now at about 29.6% of consistency. Is it good? No, it's not good. It's barely. We'll just say 30%. I mean, 70% of the time they're not earning a clutch game, which is not a good thing. But like I said, we certainly have had some pluses. We know that Daniel Jones has done well. Juwan Johnson, of course, man, Kayshon, Boutte, and our boy Oronde Gadsden just is en fuego. Can't say any too much good about it. Sadly, Cam Scatterboo took a shot, but not took a shot, just bad luck, rolled, dislocated an ankle, heard it was ugly. I won't want to see it, but, hope he's well. And I'm sure we'll get him back probably next year. I don't think he'll be coming back this year. But we at least have a decent guy in Tyrone Tracy, who had been the starter for the last couple of years. But, it was disappointing to see him go down. It's been kind of a fun ride. Whether you're a Giants fan, you have him in your fantasy team, whatever, just a fun ride to see the Giants have some players that give them some excitement. All right, let's move on to the running back position. Here's a guy, again, he's probably on rosters, and that is Tyjae Spears, or not Tyjae, Tyjae Spears. You always hope for that game, but you're never really going to start the guy. But this past week, he broke out. He had touchdown, 59 yards rushing, 3 catches, 23 yards, 17.2 fantasy points. Obviously ahead of Mr. Pollard. Ranked him 11th for the week. Good, can he keep it up? Probably not. I know he's been very inconsistent. I mean, he's usually in that 10 and under range, but what are your thoughts on Tyjae? Do you think this is a changing of the guard? Is this something that maybe this team decides, look, Pollard's good, but he's heading in the wrong direction, and let's let this kid play?
Well, and it's a you see that obviously they fired their head coach. They're trying to search for anybody on the staff that I don't know if they'll get rid of the whole staff or not. Most likely that's usually what happens. But when you have a coach that's gone, you're trying to see what pieces you have as well because it's going to be a whole different ball game heading into next season. And obviously they're not going to be successful this year. They're going to be right back there at the top of the draft. So again, too, one of the things with Tyjae Spears. His last couple weeks as well, he's like he seems kind of like that prototypical flex play that you have. 9 carries for 59 and a touchdown, but last 3 weeks, 4 catches, 3 catches, 3 catches. So he's sneaky good in the passing game as well, especially in those deeper leagues. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a changing of the guard because you saw Tony Pollard with 11 carries and only 1 catch in the passing game. I think Tony Pollard obviously is going to be the first and second down guy, but
Right.
Tyjae Spears is that big speed guy that can take it to the house anywhere on the field. So I look for them to get him a little bit more involved as far as to see what they have there. I don't know what Tony Pollard's contract looks like with Tennessee, but it could be something where they might want to see what they have with Tyjae Spears a little bit more and maybe open the door for getting something in the draft. But I don't think there's any reason to sit either one of these guys. I think they'll give you enough, as flex plays. Again, if you have to start Tony Pollard as your RB2 in deeper league, it's not terrible. I think he still will get a little bit more of the carries, but I think also game flow is going to dictate a little bit of that as well, as we know that they were getting blown out by I don't remember who. Oh yeah, that's right. It was my favorite
Yeah,
team, the
yeah.
Colts.
The team
Yeah,
was 7-1 and is number one seed in the AFC.
Yeah, we had to shoehorn that in somewhere. So it might be game flow, game script might be have a little bit to do with it. But I think these guys are both still useful. But I think it's going to be a pretty even split from here on out.
Yeah, I feel like they just, they need to give him every chance. And let's be honest, let's keep Pollard healthy. If he's got one more year in his deal, keep him healthy enough to be around for one more year in his deal, for sure. Again, that team isn't going anywhere. Is Cam Ward the answer? We don't know, but they're just going to keep tracking along. And like I said, they fired their coach already, so it is what it is. All right, we're going to move on to the wide receiver position and got a number one this week. I'm going to say he probably wasn't starting in most, but it was the By-Mageddon. So it wouldn't surprise me if this gentleman showed up on a lot of rosters this week. Why? Because he had to. I know we were talking, some of the guys we were starting, Xavier Hutchinson. I had Tyler Johnson from the Jets I had picked up because I'm like, I had Garrett Wilson, and I'm like, well, I'll pick this dude up. So there was a lot of players that played this week that could have qualified and may have been starting. Roman Wilson, 17.4 on Monday night. Kayshon Boutte again with another great game, 16.5 points. So tell us about Mr. Number One this week from the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, and when you're playing that Dallas defense, you got to get as many shares of that team that's play against them as you can, and so just happened to be Denver this week. And in my start sit, I went with Marvin Mims. I got the team right. I didn't quite get the guy that right, but Troy Franklin, a guy that we're seeing big things out of. The targets are there. It's just a little bit of miscommunication. It looks like 2 weeks ago had 10 targets, only caught 3 of them, but he's had games with 6 targets, 9 targets, 8 targets. So Bo Nix is looking for him, and they're able to move the ball. They're able to get hot really quick. Bo Nix, not has been as consistent as we'd like to see, but they've still been rolling. They've still been getting the victories. But again, anybody you can start against that Dallas defense. And Troy Franklin's, 6'3", 180. He's a big target, 4th-round pick in 2024. So again, a guy that Bo Nix looks for, and a guy that I think that, as you see him kind of build that rapport It'd be that consistent number two across from Cortland Sutton. And as much as I want Marvin Mims to be that guy, he was one of my guys going into this season. He's just not consistent, and that's what we're looking for here.
Yeah. Trey Franklin seems to be just a better route runner, just a better overall player, senses the game better. I mean, it's just pretty obvious when you see him out there. Like I said, some other good ones out there, some 1 week wonders that hopefully you got to slap in there. You talked about, I think we got this last week. It's Chimere Dike. There you go. From Tennessee. I think I slapped him in on a team. I got 16.4 of him. So thank you to all those 1 week wonders who helped anyone out there that was struggling to just get a team together. I think I was missing 6 starters in the one Kings Classic League. So
yeah,
I was really, really hurting. So, but a lot of good guys in there saved many of us, I'm sure. All right, to our favorite and non-favorite position, the tight ends. There's 1 week wonders every week. It just depends who they are. This past week, of course, was tight end weekend, as we call it. And, of course, that means Mr. Kittle had to get a touchdown, which he did. And he was right in there, but certainly not a 1 week wonder. But, you look down the list. Oronde Gadsden's already been one of our picks. Harold Fannin Jr., the guy's starting every week, right? And the interesting thing is I don't even have him on the list as a guy for a 1 week wonder because he's playing every week. Like if you're not starting him in a 12-team league, you must have some tremendous tight ends in front of you because he has been very consistent this year. So probably should have picked him just to have him in here, but maybe we'll do that some other week. But he's certainly been helping. He was third this week. Goddard, Pitts, Mason Taylor, George Kittle, Njoku, Juwan Johnson, which is one of our stars. But at number 10, tied for 9th with Juwan Johnson is University of Texas, as I was just informed, hook 'em horns, by our guy here, Mr. Ron Rigney. His name is Gunnar Helm. And he plays for Tennessee along with Chiggy, who also had maybe not. It was 9.3, so he might not have made the clutch game. But 10.3 should. And he tied, like I said, with 9th place with Juwan Johnson. 2 catches, only 23 yards. But he got that coveted touchdown, and that's what makes the difference. So, Ron, tell us a little more about Gunnar Helms. You had some kind words for him.
Yeah, having to catch Texas, Texas is on national TV quite a bit. And so I caught a couple Texas games last year. And, you watch all the guys that they had, Quinn Ewers, a quarterback. But one of the guys that I was most impressed with happened to be Gunnar Helm. So he's a guy that I kind of followed in the draft. Wasn't really sure what to expect, at the next level. But, big target, 6'5", 230 at Texas. His final season there went for 60 grabs, 786 yards, and 7 scores. So put up a nice little stat line there before he left Texas. And he actually is right there behind. If you look at targets and you look at catches, again, you don't want to have to handcuff yourself to anybody on this Tennessee offense if you don't have to. But he's right there behind Chiggy Okonkwo for targets and catches. 7 targets behind him, 7 receptions behind him. He has 189 yards on the season. And he has 19 catches for 172 yards. So he's a little bit further behind him, but he does have that touchdown. Chiggy Okonkwo has yet to visit the end zone. So again, kind of like we talked about with Tyjae Spears, it could be a guy, might be kind of a sneaky ad. Again, you don't want to, I don't think you're going to have to pay anything for him. He's probably not owned in most leagues, but could be a guy that, again, if they, like we said with Tyjae Spears, if they want to see what they have down the stretch, they might try to build him in the game plan a little bit more. Doesn't have a ton of targets yet, but again, not sure what Chiggy's contract is like. You got that covet, like you said, that touchdown that you need to get that clutch game at tight end. But last couple of weeks, had 5 targets 2 weeks ago, had 5 targets in the Arizona game. So might see the targets go up. So again, we're kind of struggling for guys off of waivers right now. Might be a guy that you might be able to get for free that could end up paying off down the stretch.
Well, and as we head into week 9, the bye weeks are Cleveland, which is Njoku and Fannin. I just lost track. The Jets, of course, Mason Taylor. Philadelphia, Dallas Goedert. And Tampa Bay is Cade Otton. So you may need him, and it may be a good time to pick him up, especially especially if it gets dropped or if nobody really cares because they're not having the huge Bimageddon this week to worry about. So some interesting ones out there, like you said. Charlie Kohler had 8 points, didn't earn a clutch game, but was certainly weird that there was where's everybody else at? All right, Ron, as we head, I assume you have your card of the week.
I do, and you know where I'm going with this one. Got to get my guy in there,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Jonathan Taylor, doing it all. I got to plug him in there. A nice pretty little prism card that I got the other day. I'm trying to acquire as many Jonathan Taylor cards as I possibly can, but dude's having a great season, so we gotta highlight him a little bit. So again, as we always tell you, head over to BigGuyFantasySports.com. You've got the start sit, you got the who's hot, who's not, consistently cashing. You got all that stuff over there. Bob, myself, Mr. Colby Conway, Mr. James Knight, doing everything we can for you to get you that holiday cash, get you those league wins. So go over and check it out if you have not already. Got a pretty sweet deal on it last week for Mr. Lung. If you want to go over there and subscribe, I'm assuming that we're going to keep rolling with that too.
Oh, yeah.
But for $10, you can't beat it, man. So head over to BigGuyFantasySports.com.
Just reach out to me, let me know, and I'll get you a coupon code, and you can get your half price $10 the rest of the season. Can't beat that. All right, as Ron said, I'm Bob Lung, Big Guy Fantasy Sports. Check out all the great stuff every night of the week. Everything's happening. I know James has put up his daily article. What's he call it? It's like Game of Points, like Game of Thrones, but it's Game of Points. So check out all the great stuff that's in there. Love that article. So I always forgot what it's called. All right. So for Ron Rigney, I'm Bob Lung. Everybody take care. God bless. We'll see you soon.